Okay. Good evening, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to this session. This is the Chevening Application Guide. Brought to you by my humble self. My name is Ulubenga Ogumboale. I'm your host, and today I have on the call a very fantastic friend of mine. I met him through the Mandela Washington Fellowship, and he's a Chevening scholar, and he's really amazing. If you've gone through like his bio, you've seen. I'm sure all of you saw the flyers. He is really amazing, and I think is there any better person to learn about how to apply for Chevening? From a Chevening scholar, right? I mean, the answer is no. So, Nati is a Chevening scholar with a master's in economics from the University of Essex. He is a senior economist at the Ministry of Finance, Eswatini, for fiscal strategy and policy oversight. He is also an advocate for sustainable economic growth and youth empowerment. So, once again, Nati, we are so excited to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us on the call. And for the people that have joined us so far, I know Idris has joined us, Anthony has joined us, Shamira has joined us, right? So here's what I would like us to start with. I would like us to start with just like general comments from Nati on his Chevening experience and essentially some of the ground rules, basic things that we should know about Chevening. So Nati, why don't you tell us about your Chevening experience and some of the basic things that we should know about this opportunity? Because I want to give as many opportunities as possible to the people on the call to ask questions, right? So we don't have too many people on the call, which is fantastic. You can ask as many questions as you would like. So Nati, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you for that intro.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I think um, we'll start with just the basics. So the Chevening Scholarship is, as you obviously know, a UK funded scholarship, fully funded. So you're basically allowed to pick any school that you want in the UK, any course. There's no limitation. There's also no limitation on age, so at any age you could decide to apply for the scholarship, and it's fully funded. So some of the things that they look for is, first one would be a minimum of 2 years work experience, and this could involve volunteer work as well, and full-time work, as long as you've worked for 2 years. And the application is what, 4 essays. We're basically looking for leadership potential, someone who has a potential for networking.
Nati, are you there? Are you there? Can we all hear him? It seems I can't hear anything from my end. Anthony, can you hear him? Shamira, Victor, can you hear anything from your end? Okay, all right. So he talked about network issues. Let's just be patient. Let's be patient. Talk about network issues. Let's just give him a few minutes. So hopefully he will rejoin the meeting. I think it's because of network. Probably let he will rejoin. So let's be patient. Shamira, you raised up your hand.
Can I ask now? I have a couple of questions.
Okay, probably a mistake. No problem. Okay. All right.
Pardon?
You raised up your hand. That's why I called your name.
Yes. Yeah. I just wanted to understand more about the program, and then also understand the application process, and yeah, basically that's just it.
Exactly. Nati is going to take us through all of that. So, Nati, please carry on.
Yeah, sorry, I got disconnected. This is bad weather this side. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. You're welcome back. Yes.
All right, thank you. I didn't get just that last question. I got in and someone was asking a question.
Shamira, can you go again?
I was asking about what he was talking about before he went off the call.
Okay, maybe I'll just go over that again. Basically, I was saying that the scholarship is a fully funded scholarship to the UK. There's no limitation on the school and program that you can pick. You can pick any school, any program in the UK, and it will be funded. Some of the limitations that are there, though, are around an MPA masters. So they normally have a cap on the tuition fee. I think the last time I checked, it was around £18,000. So that's the only one that has some kind of limitation. Otherwise, you're free to pick any course, any university, and there's no limitation on age. And what I'd also covered is that the full essays. We're looking for leadership potential, someone who knows how to network, who can make networks work for them, and someone with a career plan that fits British interests. So that's just the basic of what I had covered. Or I'd also said it's 2 years work experience minimum, which may involve or include volunteer work. So it doesn't have to be full-time employment, as long as it accounts for 2 years work experience. Yeah, those are the basics that I had covered. So I think we can take it from there.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you. Okay, so before we talk about like the application itself, can you just give us a brief summary of your own experience? Applying for the program, going to school in the UK. Just with our appetite. What was your own experience like?
Okay, yeah. So I'm part of that special COVID group. The group that decided to chase their dreams even though the world was ending. So yeah, it was a different application process. I guess the entire experience was slightly different because of the situation at that time. But overall, I think we got full support from the British High Commission on our end, and the entire process was smooth. So what they helped us with, what the commission will help with, is visa application processes. Once you have the scholarship, of course, and they cover your settling in allowances on top of your monthly stipend. There's a settling in allowance when you get to the UK, so you can get to the UK and get everything that you need without having to worry too much, and you can settle into your accommodation. There's so much support around just getting there and getting settled, and just getting to the school itself. Each school, you find that you have minimum of 10 scholars, so you immediately have a network. By the time that you get there, those are the first people that you sort of link up with and you network with immediately. So that also helps with the settling in. You don't have to worry too much about how we are going to be able to survive and all of that. You just immediately have a network for you to start communicating with. And also, Essex was quite amazing. There was so much support, and I found out that actually all of the UK schools have a lot of support as long as you use the structures around there. So you will be able to get support academically, whatever the personal issues, trying to get your bank accounts, because you have to get a bank account so that Chevening can deposit your future stipends into that bank account. So you get a card, a prepaid, a preloaded card for the first 2 months or so. Then you have to get a bank account, and then they transfer your money there. It's more than enough to cover your accommodation, living expenses, and also exploring the UK. One big part of the scholarship is actually getting to the UK and exploring, the UK. It's learning the culture. Um, if you love, for example, I love football. So if you love football, you spend your free time. You can travel to whatever city you watch a game there. If you have a favorite team, so it's basically a balance between the academic side and also just exploring the UK. I think it's a pretty amazing opportunity for you to get to experience both. I don't think there are many scholarships that actually encourage you to do both. It's not all academic. That's why the stipend that you have is also enough for you to be able to just live in the UK and experience UK culture and have as much fun as possible, all at the same time learning in a world-class university with a lot of academic support. Yeah, I think that's what I found most interesting, and that was the highlight of my experience. The fact that I could, pursue my education and also explore the UK without a problem.
Wow, fantastic, fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing and for whetting our appetites, right? I mean, I love the fact that I talked about football, like Premier League, right? Going to watch the big teams.
Exactly.
Wow, fantastic. Okay, so let's talk about the application process itself. What does it take to become a Chevening scholar, all right? And what is the application process like? And what are the things that applicants should take note of?
Okay, the one misconception that I have sort of experienced over the past couple of years, just talking to potential Cheveners, is the idea that for you to be a Chevener, you should be this, for the lack of a better word, amazing person doing great things. A lot of people think, oh, this is not for me. It's also not all about academics, as I had already said. So some people think I have to have really high grades from my undergrad. You know, it's not that. It's about the potential. It's about what you want to do, and it's about identifying what you can do, what your plans are, and you can be able to use your networks. So that's the first part. It's really not this far-fetched thing that you need to be doing great stuff for you to be able to get, or you need to be a high achieving scholar academically. I didn't have the highest of grades. I had like just, I mean, not the bottom half or average. As long as you can get into a UK university, that's all Chevening cares about. They do not really look into what grades you got. So even in the application process, there's no way where they ask you about, or they focus on your grades. It's just 4 essays that focus on: one, your leadership. Second one focuses on your networking, and third one focuses on why the UK. So this is where you justify the universities and cores that you're picking. And then the fourth one is your career plan, your future plans, right? So you're just solely on those four. What you said on your leadership essay, all the way down to your career plan. Everything else is secondary to that. If you get into a UK university, that is it for them. If you do well in the interview, you get it, and you submit your acceptance letters from your chosen university, and that is that. The second part is that during the application process, you do not necessarily need to worry too much about the school that you're picking, because if you make it to the interview, you are given one more chance to change your universities. So it happens that you might have put 3 universities in your initial application, but then as you're applying afterwards, you find that you're actually receiving acceptance letters from different universities, but for similar courses. So as long as it's still within what you were talking about, the course and your justification, then you can change school at any time. So you don't have to have your acceptance before you actually put in your application. With the time remaining right now, you could literally write up your 4 essays, pick your schools and courses, and put the scholarship application in, and then you can go back to focusing on the school applications. So the other thing around the school applications is that some schools have application fees. Chevening discourages you from paying any fees during your application process, because you're not going to be refunded any money for that, even if you get the scholarship. If you don't, that's your money gone. Some universities don't have application fees. I always advise applicants to look through the list of partner universities. So on the Chevening website, there's a list of partner universities. Most of them will not have application fees. That is a good start if you're trying to pick a school. It's always a good start. You just look at the partner universities, and then I'm assuming you already have an idea of what course you'd want to do exactly, and you focus on that. You try to look at those schools, and you see which ones have application fees. Applicants normally focus, some applicants focus on, the well-known, I don't know if I should pose and answer Victor's questionnaire with a hand. I don't know what you'd say, Ben.
Don't worry, carry on. We're going to take questions very shortly.
Okay. So I was just saying some applicants focus on, the well-known schools, Oxford, Cambridge, all those schools, right? I can promise you 90% of the schools in the UK are really good schools. And if you look into the different faculties, the rankings, right? If you look into the different faculties, you'll find that the course that you want to do, that faculty from a not so well-known university is actually in the top 10 in the UK, So you don't have to focus on the well-known schools. Do a bit more research on the faculty and course that you want to do. You might find that actually your school is, for that, it's amongst the top schools. So you don't have to focus on the big names, if I may put it that way. All the schools in the UK are really great schools, and as long as you find a course that fits exactly into what you want to do and your justification, I would say you could go for that instead of focusing on the big schools. Yeah, I think I've said a lot for now. Maybe I can give it back to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. All right. So before we take questions, can can you take us through like each of the essay questions and guide us on how we should answer those questions?
Sure. So like I said, there are 4, right? First one is normally around leadership. It might be phrased in different ways, but it's still looking for the same thing, really. It might be phrased in different ways and for different years. So for the leadership essay, my approach to this is, first you give an idea of the type of leader that you are, right? You just an opening of what you believe leadership is, the traits that you believe show leadership. And then from that, you go on to show, you use examples of how you've actually demonstrated each of those traits that you just said you believe in as a leader. So you pick your best examples that speak to those traits that you mentioned in your sort of opening, right? So you have 500 words for each essay. You really need to get to the point. Pick your best example, get straight to the point. Don't be afraid, don't downplay anything, just go straight to the point. This is what I believe in and this is what I did. This was my experience. Yeah. So I would say for the first essay, maybe about 3 traits with 3 examples, and close off with highlighting how being part of the Chevening network will help you grow as a leader. So this is just you saying that you benefit from being part of this network, and learning from peers and all of that. You close it off with highlighting that in as much as you've done this and all of that, you will benefit from being part of the network in this way. And then second one is networking. So here you just need to show how you've leveraged your networking skills to benefit your career or others, and how those networks have played out at work or in whatever space. Again, you're picking your best examples and you're just showing that there was this situation and this is how this network played out. This is how you built the network and this is how you benefited from the network. Also, this is how you gave back, because that's also a big thing. Networking is not just about you benefiting from your networks, right? You also need to show that you also gave back to whatever networks in whatever way. Again, it's 500 words. You pick your best examples, you go for it. And then third one is why the UK. I had already said that it's not all academic, so I would discourage against going all academic for this one. For my application, I actually mentioned that one of my schools that I had selected was University of Manchester. And after mentioning their ranking of the program that I wanted to do and all of that, I also mentioned that I just wanted to live in Manchester because I'm a Man U fan, right? I would be closer to Old Trafford. And you could literally put that in the application. It came up during my interview. We talked about football during my interview. So it's not all academic. My approach for this, I'd say, so you can either pick 3 different courses and justify them from the same university. For this one, it's allowed to do that. I think that's a more difficult approach. I always say pick 3 universities with similar courses. They don't have to be the same exact thing, but I think it's easier to justify 3 different universities. So here you go for basically one, why that university. You focus on a particular module or a particular module from that university or course that you'd really want to take because it's specific to that university and this is how it will benefit you. You can also go into the city, right? If I picked University of Essex because it's like an hour away by train from London, and London is the hub of economics and finance and all of that. So I thought that being at Essex in Colchester would put me in close proximity with London. That's something that I mentioned, and I said that this is how it would benefit me to be at the center of the hub and all of that. It was linked to my course. So you pick academic reasons. You pick just the city. I think I've forgotten what my third one was, but it had more to do with just the city itself. The city life around that area. So you can also mention that on top of just this 1-2 lines around the course itself, I also love the city. For example, if you pick Glasgow or Edinburgh, you could mention that you'd love to live in Scotland for whatever reasons, the Highlands and all of that. So you can go through both reasons. And then last one is career plan. Here you need to break it down into short term, medium term, and long term. You keep it realistic and you keep it in line with the UK's interests in Africa or your area of expertise, whatever that you're going there to do, right? So you must bring in what the UK is also doing around that space, and how you will collaborate with them. You also need to bring in how you'll collaborate with the existing network already, how you'll contribute to it, and how it will benefit you. So the one thing that I didn't mention is that for each essay, I would encourage that the last couple of lines are about how this particular thing you benefit from being part of the Chevening network. So for example, networking, you bring in the last lines around how the Chevening network will help you build better networks. While the UK, again, you bring in why going to the UK through the Chevening Scholarship is the best way for you to experience the UK. Again, career plan, you also bring in the last part, Chevening networks, and how they'll help you achieve whatever you've brought up in your career plan. Yeah, I think that's a slightly brief overview.
Thank you so much. That was really, really useful and insightful. Thank you so much. Okay. Do we have questions? Victor, please go ahead. Victor, you raised up your hand. Please go ahead. Victor, are you there? Okay, while we're waiting for Victor, any other person with questions? Shamira, yes, please go ahead, Shamira.
Yeah, thank you very much for the information. It was really, really helpful. My own is I just want to understand apart from the essays that we have to write, what the thing do we have to submit?
Just to get a bit of clarity, was the last part saying what other things do you need to submit?
Exactly, yes.
Okay, so for the initial application phase right now, that is, what's the deadline? I think it's in a week or so. It's just the essays, and if you happen to have some acceptance letters, some people already have them at this point, conditional or unconditional, you can attach that, but it's not needed right now. I think the main one is just your certificates, right? Everything else comes after. So that's why I'm saying right now you don't need to overthink everything. You just need to write those essays and submit them. For example, your passport will be needed at a later stage. Even these acceptance letters are actually needed at a later stage. Reference letters are needed. Okay, you will be required to put in details of your referees, but those recommendations will only be required by your interview date, which is normally around the February, March period, March, April. So all of those things come a bit later on. So at that point, you will be required to submit passports, reference letters, and so previously they used to have an English proficiency test, but Chevening has removed that. So it's up to your school. If they require that, then that's for you to deal with. But Chevening doesn't require that. Again, that's something that you deal with at a later stage. It's not something you need to worry about right now. At this current moment, you just need your certificates, I would say, and your essays, and you'll be fine.
Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, We have a question from Victor. He dropped the chat. Mercy, don't worry, we'll take you very soon. Let's take Victor next. Victor said, I realize my microphone is not working. My question is one necessarily supposed to choose schools that partner with Chevening? Thank you.
Okay, so I do need to clarify this. When I opened, I said that you're free to pick literally any university and course in the UK, but there are partner universities. It doesn't mean that if you pick a non-partner university, you are disadvantaged in any way. It's just that there are some universities that the UK has been, Chevening has been working with for a while. So they have some kind of relationships. But it doesn't disqualify you in any way to pick any other school and course.
Thank you very much. Mercy, you're up.
Yeah, thank you. So, thank you for this session. I've actually gotten a few insights of how to go about this. So, I was wondering when I was reading the requirements, minimum requirements to apply for these, I saw that you needed to have already unconditional offers from universities, but I'm surprised that you have said it is not necessary. All you need right now is just the essays and your certificates. If that is the case, I'm really happy because I've really been struggling to get the unconditional offers. Most of the universities I've applied, they're like, oh, conditional offer, conditional offer. Most of them, they're like, they need IELTS. And IELTS, you have to like go study the English, do the exams, pay some fee. Yeah, but if you have confirmed that you only need your essays and certificates, yeah, that's really great. Maybe you could confirm
Yes,
that.
yes, Mercy. I think that's always the misunderstanding. Those things will be needed at some point, yes. But right now, that's not that's not part of your evaluation at this point. Right now, they're looking at your essays. So the application process is like this. There's the closing date right now for the essays. If I remember the portal correctly, in fact, you said you already have some conditional offers. So that's great. You can pick those schools and actually upload those letters. They ask you if you have a letter for any of the schools at this point. You could say no or yes, I have a conditional or unconditional. It doesn't really disadvantage you in any way to say you don't if you don't. And if you do, that's great. But it's not a problem for now, right? Because what we're looking at, we're still just evaluating you solely on your potential. And then, like I said, by your interview date, if you're called for an interview, you should have your reference letters and you must lock in your schools. You are still not required to have the actual letters by then. You're just locking in your 3 choices. Then you will, if you actually get the scholarship, you will get a conditional award letter sometime in June. From the conditional award letter, they'll give you about 2 weeks to upload or send an unconditional offer. So you see, you have so much time to get an unconditional offer. It's not required immediately. You're given 2 weeks or so after your conditional to submit your choice. You submit the one school that you're picking with your unconditional offer from that school. And then once they've confirmed with the school, they will send you back your final award letter. So you get 2 award letters, which the final award letter comes around July, August. Once everything is confirmed, they've spoken to your school, they've verified everything, then they send you your final award letter. So that's why I'm saying at this point, yes, they list those things, but those are not the things that are needed by, is it the 7th or so? That they should not stop you from applying at this point. You could still do the essays and submit everything else, and if you have conditional offers, you upload. It's okay. If you don't, you will say, no, I don't at this point. They'll ask you, have you applied? Or I'm still applying. You mentioned that I'm still applying. It's okay. It's just for information so that they know. But they'll still evaluate you on the essays more than anything at this point. Or the other part is that I don't know about you guys, but for my country, we actually have two passports. One is a travel document. You can't travel internationally with it. It's just a regional passport. And then there's an international passport. Someone actually didn't have the international one until a week or so to go towards the final award letter deadline. So, that wasn't required even until that point. So those documents won't matter right now. That's the point that I'm trying to make. Just put in your applications with your certificates, I guess. All the tests, English proficiency tests, will be required by your school, whatever deadline, and for them to give you an unconditional offer, that's fine. It'll be needed later on.
Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much. That was very useful. Ayolu, you've been raising up your hand. So Ayo, let's have you.
Yeah, thank you very much. So my question are two, and very quickly. First is um, what is the highest number of selections they take in a year? Because I'm aware, I think they take from they select persons from all over Africa every year. So what's the maximum successful applications that are selected? I don't know how many applications come in, but I want to suspect that they have a budget. They might not be sharing their budget with the world, but um, basically, in your experience and in your observations, what is the rough number of the average number of persons they select in the continent, or maybe from Nigeria or all over the world? So that's question one. Question two is more like a request. I don't know if you could be kind or open, to share your essay with us. Maybe you could
No,
put it
no,
on.
actually, part two is not possible. Like, let me just cut you there. It's not possible, right? And please don't put Nati into trouble, right? So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nati, please answer question one. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So right now, I don't have the stats for each country or the continent, but I know that it's for each year across the world, there are about 1,600 Chevenings. And Nigeria is one of those countries that, get the largest allocation. So it varies from year to year, of course. But yeah, that's the rough estimate, 1,600 around so. But you should also realize that there are over 60,000 applications each year. I think they say they got to 70 or so, but there are definitely over 60,000 eligible applications each year. So yeah, it's quite competitive. The countries that get the most allocation are usually Nigeria. I think it's Pakistan, if I'm not wrong, and yeah, a couple of countries. But in Africa, I know it's Nigeria, it's South Africa. Those get some of the largest numbers.
Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you. Bright, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much for this opportunity and for the session. So for me, I'm still struggling with trying to, based on the titles of the essays and the questions, I'm still trying to like fit in my experiences and skills and to like know which is most relevant and which would actually help out in my essays. And earlier you mentioned that during the interview you were asked about something from the essay. So I'm trying to like find out how related these initial essays are to the interviews. Are we going to be questioned based on the essays we submit, or it will just be a general questioning during the interview stage on everything we have submitted so far? That's my question.
Okay, so like I said, you have 500 words for each essay, and you definitely have a lot of experience, right? You've done a lot of things. It's important to pick a consistent story across all 4 essays. So whatever examples that you pick in the first one, I know it's not the same question, but trust me, it's one profile. So if you pick a story in your first essay, I'm not saying it's the same exact example, but it is still selling the same person. So I'm just trying to give you guidance how to pick your best examples. As you're going through the essays, you will see that if there's a common theme around your leadership, your experiences, your networking, and all of that, then it will be easier to write the 4 essays. If you keep it around that, it should be easier. Then getting to the interview, the questions might not be, exact question from the essay. I mean, it might be asked differently because the point of the interview is for you to elaborate on whatever you said in your essays. It's not possible to talk about your entire experience in 500 words for each essay. So it might be asked in a different way, but you shouldn't lose focus. You should remember that it's still talking about the same profile that you put in. So I'm trying to find an example of a different question from what is put in the essay, but I can't come up with one. But the point is, whatever they ask you will still be based on the 4 essays. You do not need to repeat what you said, though. It's a chance for you to elaborate. It's a chance for you to give them more information because you had only 500 words to talk. You had a total of 2,000, in fact, to sell yourself. So this is an opportunity to bring up more examples that show up the same thing, all of that. I hope I've
Wow,
answered your question.
fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, let's take this question from Mercy. Mercy saying, after the essays, how many interviews are there?
So this is why Chevening is one of, or rather my favorite scholarship, right? You just put in your essays and there's one interview and you're done. If you get it, you get it. It's really that simple. If you can write up a good essay, you make it to the interviews, just one interview, and that's it. So yeah, it's that straightforward.
Fantastic, fantastic. Okay, we have some people raising up their hands. Ishaku, I hope you can dance Shaku Shaku. So Ishaku, what's the question?
All right. So my question is, there are like let me just use myself as an example. I've had some experiences in the NGO space. I've had experiences in education. I'm currently interning in a policy think tank, right? So to streamline your essay in a specific direction can be a little bit tricky because you see some of your experiences are more in a place, and then you want to maintain a specific theme for the whole essays. So how do people like myself who had like different experiences in different spaces streamline our essays in such a way that it's going to be like telling the same story throughout? Thank you.
Okay, I think I get your predicament. So by same story, I think maybe just to clarify and open it up a bit, the profile should still be speaking to the same person. There's the first question on leadership. For example, you picked 3 traits. For me, that first one, the traits were across different experiences. One was work, one was business, and if I remember correctly, the third one was civic engagement, right? It wasn't in the same space. But then when I was justifying everything else, it led back to what the course that I wanted to do and what my career plan was. So in as much as I used 3 different experiences for my leadership, I still brought it back to how all of those traits have, played out in what I want to do, what I want to focus on. So that's what I would say to you. You can bring up your other experiences, but then you'd need to show that what you're bringing up has applied in this main profile that you're trying to sell. I hope that makes sense.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, I think, do we have any other question? Oh, Mercy. Mercy has a question. Are there school recommendations that don't require English certifications? Anyone can answer this question from your experiences. So, Nati, what do you think?
Could you please repeat the question?
Okay, Mercy is asking, are there school recommendations that don't require English certifications?
Are there any schools that do not require English proficiency
Certification.
tests?
Yes.
Yes. I mean, this is a conversation between you and your school. I'll share my experience. Like I said, it was around COVID, right? I am from the Kingdom of Eswatini, previously known as Swaziland. So for us, we don't have any English proficiency test centers. You have to travel to South Africa to get one. So what had happened was that because of COVID, there was the lockdown, right? And I couldn't travel to SA, South Africa, to get my test. Or rather, it was a bit difficult to do that. So when I got my conditional award letter from Chevening, I had a conditional offer from Essex and didn't have any English proficiency test. What I did was that I wrote them an email. I explained the situation. I told them that I would not be able to cross to SA and get a test in time for the Chevening deadline. So in 2 days' time, they sent me back an unconditional offer from that well-written email in English. I explained that I studied in English from primary throughout my undergrad, But then this is not a good example because it differs from school to school. Some do not require it at all. For some countries, you'd have to go through your chosen schools and see if you are exempted from that test. But also, you should not be afraid to have a conversation with them. Like I said, I wrote them an email and explained that there's really no need for this. And if a colleague that also got the scholarship in the same year as myself did the same thing, they dropped an email to their own school, and they didn't have a problem with them. So, yeah. I'd say even if they do require it, you can try and have a conversation. Do not be afraid to try and have a conversation with them. Just take the risk and try and explain things to them. But some do not require it at all. You'd have to just check if you're exempted.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing. That was definitely insightful. Okay, so do we have any other question? Questions, comments? So, in the absence of questions, I mean, the assumption is that we are fine and we completely understand and we're good, right? That's the assumption. That's the assumption that I'm making from my hand, right? Do we understand what we need now to put together a fantastic application? Okay, Ayo has a question. Ayo, go for it.
Yes, I also wanted to ask. As you know, you were talking. I was going through the website and all of that, but I just wanted to be sure. Um, the purpose of this scholarship or the award is leadership. And so, in your observation and in your experience, what are the usual focal areas for leadership? I'm assuming yes, political leadership, but generally, what focal areas do you observe that the award is trying to encourage?
Okay. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. So it's not about, by leadership, we do not mean you have to be in how do I put it, in an actual leadership position, political leadership. What it's the traits that you believe in, as a what you believe a leader should, you know, show, the traits that a leader should have. So, for example, if you're a leader in the sense that you believe in lifting others as you rise, giving opportunities to others, that's a leadership trait. You just need to show how you've done that, what your experience has been with that. It's not necessarily about being in a leadership position. Oh, I don't know, I'm a leader of organization A, B. In fact, at the time that I left for the UK, when I got the scholarship, I was a junior officer, right? So it's not necessarily about that. What I talked about, the traits that I talked about, were not necessarily about leading at work or what. It was what I believe a leader should be like, and I gave examples of how I have sort of shown the same traits, because what this is about, future leaders. It's not about leaders right now. We want the potential in you. So you should be showing that in the work that you're doing or whatever that you're doing, you've actually demonstrated that you could be a future leader. So if you're someone that believes in lifting others as you rise, you will show that this is what I've done in my current position, whatever that is. But this is what I've done to try and lift others. You know, I hope that makes.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Okay, so is there any other question? Mercy, how does life generally look like living in the UK? Do they give enough stipend?
Uh, so, like I said earlier on, the stipend is enough for you to explore the UK. Of course, you have to manage your budget. You're an adult, but it's really enough for you to pay off your living expenses and also explore. I mentioned that, I got to travel the UK using the same stipend, never had to use any of my savings for that. You're just basically given the money to manage. There's nothing else they'll provide for you. They'll give you a settling in allowance, which is above £600 when you get there. And the stipend is above 1.1 thousand pounds per month. So the arrival stipend is once off, the settling in one, and then everything else you get as you're there. So I mean, you can imagine that if you get settling in allowance and a monthly stipend of over £1,100, rental is around 700. You probably need, just for basics, living, I don't know, around 200 also, depending on how you live your life. But the one thing to remember is that for this 1 year, you're a student, so live like a student. Then it'll be enough. You're not a professional for this 1 year. I am seeing a question, panel, that I will answer, as since it's still from Messi. You are given 20 hours I think it's 20 hours per week, if I'm correct. Your visa is 20 hours per week as a student. So if you want to get a part-time job, you could still do that. A lot of people get part-time jobs as well, actually. I chose not to because I wanted to have more time to explore the UK.
Wow, very interesting. That's a very interesting choice. Okay, someone is raising up their hand. Chinwe, go for it.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Yes, good afternoon, everybody. So sorry I'm pulling everyone back. I joined, but the network has been quite bad. Please, can we get the recorded version of this Zoom meeting so that we can all, actually go through those of us that actually missed the start? Thank you very much.
Yes, so this session is going to be this session is being recorded, and I'm going to share a recording. And for the sake of people who probably do not have my phone number, right, I'm going to share it in the comment section. So you can follow up with me on WhatsApp to get the recording, to get the link to the recording, right? So if you join late, no problem. You get access to the recording. Okay. Ayo, you're raising up your hand. Go for it.
Yeah, very quickly. Are we going to classify it as a scholarship or a fellowship?
Nati, over to you.
I classify it more as a scholarship, but then as a Chevener, we always say that you're a scholar for a year and a Chevener for life.
Wow, very short and straight to the point. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. Any other question? Anthony, your hands are raised. So Anthony, go for it. We're going to close in 2 minutes. So Anthony, go
Okay,
for it.
thank you, everybody. My question is, after the studies, I learned you must return to your country as soon as the studies are completed. I don't know. Could you tell us more about that?
Okay, Panga, you might have to repeat that for me. It's a bit difficult to hear now. It's raining quite heavily.
Hello, I'm asking about like life after the scholarship. I learned that once you are done with the scholarship, it's mandatory that you return back to your home country. So I don't know, is that correct? And then is there any maybe amount of time that you are allowed to maybe travel around or return to the UK? I want to maybe learn more about that.
Okay. Yes, of course. You're required to return back to your home country for a minimum of 2 years. That's what it said. But upon completion of your degree, you will find that your visa has an allowance of an additional 6 months. I think so. If your degree is up until say September, then you have up until early the next year, February, March. So you could still be in the UK up until your visa elapses. So you do have time afterwards. But then the only thing is that your stipend is up until the last day, like exactly 12 months. Beyond that, you're on your own. So you get additional 6 years. You would have to get a job, find accommodation, and all of that. But there's no problem. You could, because the scholarship gives you, it's a return ticket. So you will let them know that you'll be returning at a later date, and that's fine. You book your return ticket at a later date, but it has to be within the additional 6 months, and they will not be responsible for all your other expenses from that date. So I hope that that answers your question.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Please, can we all say thank you to Nati? You can go to the comment section and drop a comment. What you've learned so far, and just say thank you to Nati. So, Nati, thank you so much. We are really grateful to have you here on this call. Thank you so much, Nati. We're so excited to have you for taking time out of your very, obviously, very, very busy schedule. Thank you so much for your time. And so, for everybody on this call, thank you so much for joining. If you want the access to the recording, you can feel free to chat me up on WhatsApp. I'll share the link to the recording. Wish you all the very best. For all of you who want to further your education and your studies, this free session has been brought to you, courtesy myself, Olubenga Gumboali, and our guest speaker, our instructor, has been the fantastic, exceptional, phenomenal Nkosinati Mavimbela. All right. Nati, please forgive me if I didn't pronounce your name correctly. Forgive me, right? You owe me lunch in Eswatini, right? And I owe you lunch in Nigeria, of course.
Of course, listen, this was way better than the first time, your pronunciation, so that is good. Sorry, I just wanted to jump in for, there was a question just to clarify. Someone asked if they cover visa things, visa fees and all of that. Everything is taken care of. So just wanted to clarify that. But yeah, it's been great, and I really wish everyone the best of luck. Just go for it. I hope that everyone that was on the call will, at the very least, go through the experience of applying, even if it's not this year, but at least you sign up, you go through the portal, you see what it means, you can start thinking about what is being asked of you, and then you take it from there. But I hope that everyone will try and apply, and I wish everyone the best of luck.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much. I mean, fantastic final words from Nati. Thank you so much. So thank you, everybody. I mean, it's a weekend, and you all took out time. For the guys here, you probably ignored the Premier League, La Liga, to be on this call. For the ladies, you probably ignored whatever exciting entertainment or gist or any other thing, any social event that you probably could be spending your time on. You took out time of your recreational activities and other activities people do on Saturdays to be on this call. So that shows seriousness and intent on your part. Thank you so much. Someone is just joining the call. If you're just joining the call now, right, feel free to chat me up for the link to this recording. So thank you very much, everybody. Wish you all the very best. Apply for Chevening. Hope to see you in the UK. All right. Bye-bye.